After the SATs, I was drugged at a party. My childhood crush, Ethan, showed up just in time. Just as I was about to give myself to him, lines of my own handwriting appeared before my eyes. I regret it so much. Why did I ever sleep with Ethan? Regret, how could I? The next second, the diary scrolled further. Ethan ruined me, all to stop Liam from confessing his feelings to me, just so Ethan and Chloe could be together. How ridiculous. For him, I gave up Harvard, stayed in our hometown to marry him and have a family, only to find out when I was almost dying that he'd always loved Chloe. After 30 years of marriage, I only saw him truly smile for the first time on the day Chloe and Liam got divorced. And then, because Chloe's son needed an exorbitant amount for his wedding, with just a sorry, he cut off all my medical and prescription funds. But what good is sorry when I'm already dying? I froze, my eyes suddenly burning, because the last line of the diary read, Audrey, if you ever go back 30 years, please push Ethan away. I tried to collect myself. When I opened my eyes again, the words were even clearer. It's chemotherapy day. My hair is almost all gone. The doctor asked Ethan to come sign the papers, but he didn't show up. When I finally called him, his tone was full of blame. He complained that I'd interrupted him and Chloe's son on their way to meet potential in-laws, and that I'd almost ruined Chloe's son's engagement. After he hung up, the $3 million in my account for treatment was transferred out, every last penny. Ethan rarely sent me a message. He said it was to apologize for me, to use the money for Chloe's son's wedding expenses. I was so numb, I couldn't even feel angry anymore. Seeing those words, my throat tightened and I trembled uncontrollably. I couldn't be mistaken. This was my handwriting, my usual diary format. This was written by me 30 years in the future. Only then did I realize that my future self, the me who married Ethan, lived such a wretched life. And that Ethan, who had chased me for so long, had done it all for Chloe? Audrey? Ethan's heavy breathing cut through my thoughts. What's wrong? I snapped my eyes open and saw his face inches from mine. My heart instantly pounded like it would burst. He was handsome. I'd had a crush on him for over 10 years, and I never imagined I'd be this close to him one day. Seeing me frozen, he gently put his hand on my waist. Audrey, I know you intentionally seduced me, but it's okay. I don't mind. As long as you stay here with me, I'll take responsibility for you. Hearing his words, I instinctively looked up at the floating text. Audrey, do you want to start over? If you start over, will your life be brilliant? Tears streamed down my face. Then, using all my strength, I shoved Ethan away. No. Ethan stumbled to the side, his face aghast. What? I stared at him, my mind filled with those diary entries. 30 years. I wasted 30 years of my life just for him to say sorry. Why me? My stomach churned. I instinctively pushed past him and rushed into the bathroom, locking the door behind me. Yeah, why me? Audrey. Ethan snapped out of it and rushed after me. What are you doing? Open the door. You're the one who invited me up here. Are you playing games with me now? I ignored him, turning on the shower and letting the cold water pour over me. My mind cleared up instantly. Outside the door, Ethan's voice grew agitated. Audrey, if you don't open this door, I'll kick it down. Do you think playing hard to get will make me want you more? You? Before he could finish, I wiped the water from my face and opened the door. When I opened it, Ethan still had his phone in his hand, clearly texting someone. I glanced at it. It was Chloe's chat. Everything suddenly clicked. He panicked for a second, quickly dimming the screen. Don't misunderstand. I was just worried you'd do something crazy, so I was asking Chloe to help. Audrey, do you want this or not? I didn't look at him, walking straight for the door. Move. He paused, then grabbed my wrist. What do you mean? Audrey, why are you acting so innocent? You called me to save you and you're dressed like this. Weren't you trying to seduce me? You've been my persistent shadow for years, always around. Now I'm being generous and actually giving you a chance, and you're throwing a fit? He was right. I'd been his simp for so many years and I was truly tired. I looked at him, taking a deep breath. Ethan, from today on, I don't like you anymore. What? He stopped dead, his face filled with disbelief. Before he could react, I grabbed my things and walked out of the room without looking back. Then I pulled out my phone, opened my college application page, and deleted the local state university. Immediately after, I dialed Harvard University's admissions office. Hello, professor. This is Audrey. I accept the early admission offer to Harvard. Thinking back to how I'd rejected it for Ethan, I felt incredibly stupid. Just then, someone called out to me. Audrey. I looked up. It was Liam. Chloe was with him, a smug look on her face. Chloe saw me at once and immediately clutched Liam's arm. Liam, I didn't lie to you, did I? I told you I saw her check into a hotel myself. It's only been what, a few days since the SATs? She couldn't wait. Now that you've seen it, you should give up on her. But Liam just pulled his arm away and quickly walked up to me. Audrey, are you okay? I looked at him, my thoughts a little fuzzy. There wasn't much about him in the diary. I only knew he was the heir to the Cooper Corporation. I only knew that Ethan had touched me to cut off Liam's feelings for me, all to secure his own relationship with Chloe. Before I could think further, Chloe was already pointing at me, yelling, Audrey, I know you like Ethan, but you can't be that desperate. You finished your SATs and immediately ran off to have sex with him? You know Liam, I took a deep breath, then turned and looked at her carefully. The me in another timeline who endured so many years of agonizing, absurd life. Wasn't it all because of her? I smiled, then raised my hand and slapped her hard. Chloe, I didn't do anything tonight. If you dare to slander me again, I'll tear your mouth apart. Almost simultaneously, a figure crashed into me. Audrey, are you crazy? It was Ethan who had rushed out after me. He stood in front of Chloe, then turned and yelled at me. Audrey, what did Chloe say that was wrong? You're the one who's shameless. You were willing to drug yourself just to get me to sleep with you. Apologize to Chloe right now. The air instantly solidified. What did you say? Liam was the first to react, shoving Ethan away. Audrey said she didn't do anything, so she didn't. What do you want her to apologize for? Seeing Liam protect me like that, Chloe bit her lower lip and started to cry. Liam, you don't believe me, do you? Look at her. She's soaking wet. It's obvious she just... Liam, I would never lie to you. Ethan's tone instantly softened when he saw Chloe's distress. He turned back and reached for me. Audrey Audrey, stop making a scene. I'll take responsibility for what happened tonight. As long as you stay and go to university here, we'll get married right after graduation. I promise. He spoke with such emotion. The old me would probably have felt her heart race wildly and nodded without hesitation. But now, all I saw were the words floating in the air. I stayed in our hometown for him, had 2 difficult pregnancies, both times losing the baby. He comforted me saying it didn't matter, as long as I was okay. I believed him until I was almost dying, and he confessed everything to me. I learned then that he deliberately caused me to lose the babies because he didn't want any woman other than Chloe to have his children. He said he would feel guilty if any other woman bore his child. He said giving me the title of Mrs. Ethan was the biggest compromise he could make. He said so much, but he forgot he'd promised to be good to me for a lifetime. Between the lines of the diary, I saw the tears of my 30 years older self. The weight of them made me almost unable to stand. Liam quickly steadied me. Audrey, it's okay. I believe you. Ethan instantly frowned, yanking me into his arms. Are you crazy? Audrey is mine now. What does our business have to do with you? Then he pointed at Chloe. Liam, Chloe likes you so much. Can't you just look at her? I couldn't help but sneer. It all came back to him being afraid I'd ruin things for Chloe. I took a deep breath and violently pulled away from his touch. Ethan, we have nothing to do with each other. If you touch me again, I'm calling the police. Ethan froze, as if confirming he hadn't misheard. Audrey, what did you say? What's wrong with you today? Didn't you say you'd only marry me? How could you?
I looked at Ethan and something in me finally snapped, clean, loud, irreversible. I said I don't want you. My voice cut through the air so sharply that even the wind felt like it paused. Ethan actually froze. Not because he didn't hear me, but because he clearly didn't recognize me sounding like that. Audrey, what are you? He started, stunned. But I didn't let him finish. You heard me. I shouted, stepping forward instead of back this time. I don't want you, Ethan. Not now, not in the future, not ever. A few gasps came from the crowd behind us. Chloe's expression twisted instantly. Audrey, stop acting crazy. I snapped my head toward her. You shut up. The force in my voice made her flinch and actually take a step back. I pointed straight at her, my hand shaking not from fear, but rage finally finding its voice. All these years, I lived like a fool because of you and him. I yelled. So don't you dare open your mouth and act innocent in front of me. Ethan stepped forward again, face darkening. Audrey, calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. I shoved his hand off me hard. I stayed for you. I gave up my future for you. I suffered for you. My voice cracked but didn't break, it rose instead. And what did I get in return? A life you never even respected enough to be honest about. The air around us turned tense, suffocating. Liam had moved closer now, but I didn't even look at him yet. I wasn't done. I turned back to Ethan fully, eyes blazing. You think I'm yours? I laughed sharply, almost hysterically. You don't even own your own feelings. You belong to Chloe's shadow more than you ever belonged to me. That hit. I saw it. Something flickered in his face, panic trying to disguise itself as anger. But I was past caring. I yanked my wrist free completely and stepped back. I'm not your backup plan, I said loudly. I'm not your revenge. I'm not your convenience. Then I pointed at myself. I am Audrey. And I'm done. Silence slammed down hard. Even Chloe didn't speak. Ethan's voice came out rough now, almost disbelieving. You're seriously throwing everything away over this? I let out a sharp breath and shook my head. No, I said, louder again. I'm throwing you away. And then I turned. Not slowly. Not hesitantly. I walked out like I had finally decided I was worth more than the story they were trying to trap me in. Behind me, Ethan called my name again, but this time, it didn't sound like power. It sounded like loss. And for the first time, I didn't stop to look back. I had barely taken 10 steps when the air behind me exploded again. Audrey. Ethan's voice wasn't smooth anymore. It cracked through the street like something breaking under pressure. I stopped, but I didn't turn. Because I knew if I turned, even for a second, he'd try to rewrite me again. Footsteps rushed closer. Liam moved first, cutting between us like a wall. Back off, Liam said coldly, eyes locked on Ethan. She said leave her alone. Ethan let out a sharp laugh, disbelieving, almost offended. You? You're defending her now? Since when did this become your business? Liam didn't even blink. Since you started grabbing her like she belongs to you. That word belongs made something in me burn hotter. I finally turned around. Not to Ethan. To everyone. And I raised my voice again, louder than before, sharp enough to silence even the surrounding murmurs. Listen clearly. Heads turned fully now. Phones steadied. No one dared interrupt. I don't belong to anyone. I said, pointing between them, my voice shaking with fury but holding strong. Not Ethan. Not Liam. Not Chloe. Not anybody standing here trying to turn my life into entertainment. Chloe's face tightened. Audrey, you're being dramatic. I snapped my gaze to her so fast she stopped mid-sentence. I said stop talking. She actually flinched again. Good. I stepped forward, closing the distance until I was directly in front of her. You've spent years playing innocent while destroying other people's lives, I said, each word slicing clean. But I'm not the same person who let you do it anymore. Ethan moved behind me. Audrey, enough, come with me right now. I turned my head slightly, just enough to look at him over my shoulder. And I laughed. A short, sharp sound. Come with you. I repeated. Ethan, you don't even know what it means to stand beside me, let alone tell me where to go. Then I finally faced him fully. My entire life, I said loudly, I bet myself into something you'd approve of. Each word hit harder. I gave you my time, my choices, my future. My voice rose again, burning now. And you stood there, choosing someone else while letting me rot in your shadow. Ethan's expression flickered, something like panic trying to turn into control. That's not what happened. Oh really? I cut in instantly. Then explain the hospital bills you didn't pay. Explain the babies I lost while you told me to be strong. Explain how you smiled at someone else while I was breaking. The silence after that was brutal. Even Chloe went still. Liam glanced at me, quieter now, like he finally understood this wasn't just anger, it was survival finally speaking. Ethan's voice dropped. Audrey, you're not thinking clearly. That did it. Something inside me went completely still. Then I smiled. Slow, sharp, dangerous. I've never thought more clearly in my life. I stepped back once, then again, and I looked at all of them one last time. This is where my story with you ends. Then I turned around and this time, no one followed immediately. Because even Ethan finally realized I wasn't asking anymore. I was done. Behind me, the silence didn't last. Ethan's voice broke at first, low, sharp, desperate in a way I'd never heard from him before. You don't get to just erase everything, Audrey. That made me stop again. Not because I was moved. Because I was tired. I turned halfway, just enough to see him clearly. The wind hit between us, messy and cold, like it didn't know which side to belong to anymore. Erase? I repeated loudly, almost incredulous. You think this is me erasing things? I took a step back toward him, each step louder than the last in my own mind. This is me remembering everything. Ethan's jaw tightened. You're emotional right now. You're acting out because of what happened tonight. No. My voice cracked through a sentence like a whip. Don't you dare reduce my entire life to tonight. The crowd shifted again, uneasy. I pointed straight at him. I remember sitting outside your house waiting for you while you were with her. Another step. I remember you missing my exams, my birthdays, my hospital appointments. Another step. I remember you choosing her every single time and still letting me believe I mattered. Ethan's expression changed slightly, like something in him didn't want to hear it said out loud. But I wasn't done. And you know what the worst part is? I laughed sharply, but there was nothing funny in it. I defended you. I made excuses for you. I convinced myself I was lucky to have you. My voice rose again, shaking now, but stronger than before. I wasn't lucky. I was blind. A tense silence dropped again. Even Chloe looked uncomfortable now, like the script she depended on was burning in real time. Liam stepped slightly closer to me, but didn't interrupt. Ethan took a breath like he was trying to regain control. Audrey, he said more carefully now, just come back with me. We can talk this through privately. You don't need to. I snapped. No, Ethan. We're done talking privately. I walked right up to him this time, close enough that he had to look directly at me. And I didn't lower my voice. I am not your project. I am not your backup. I am not your guilt solution when Chloe doesn't look your way. His eyes flickered. That hit. Good. I continued, louder. You don't love me. You love having me there when it's convenient. A pause. Then I leaned in slightly, my voice dropping, but cutting deeper. And I'm done being convenient. I stepped back. This is your ending, Ethan. Not mine. For a second, no one spoke. Even the wind felt like it was holding its breath. Then I turned away again, fully this time. And as I walked, I heard it. Not his voice. Not Chloe's. Just Ethan, finally sounding unsteady, almost lost. Audrey. But I didn't stop. Because this time, even hearing my name from him didn't feel like love. It felt like release. I hadn't taken more than a few steps when I heard it. Audrey. This time it wasn't Ethan. It was Liam. I stopped, but I didn't turn immediately. His voice wasn't loud like mine had been, and it wasn't desperate like Ethan's. It was steady. Careful. Like he was trying not to scare something that had already been hurt too many times. I don't know everything that happened between you two, Liam said, stepping closer, but I know what I just saw. Silence stretched. Even Ethan didn't interrupt. I finally turned. Liam stood a few steps away now, hands relaxed at his sides, not grabbing, not demanding. Just there. His gaze met mine directly. And what you saw? I asked, still heated, still raw. Liam didn't hesitate. That you didn't deserve any of it. That simple sentence hit harder than anything Ethan had said all night. For a moment, my anger wavered, not disappeared, just displaced. Chloe scoffed immediately behind him. Liam, don't be fooled. She's clearly. Enough, Liam said, without even looking back at her. Just one word. Cold. Final. Chloe froze. Even Ethan's expression tightened at that. Liam finally shifted his attention slightly toward him. You've said enough, Liam added. You don't get to decide her life anymore. Ethan let out a short laugh, but it didn't carry confidence this time. And you think you do? Liam shook his head once. No. Then he looked back at me. But I know she doesn't deserve to be treated like she's replaceable. The word replaceable made something twist in my chest. Because that was exactly what I had been. For years. A placeholder in someone else's story. Liam took one step closer, not into my space, just closer in presence. If you want to leave, he said quietly, I can take you somewhere safe. Not come with me. Not choose me. Just safe. That difference mattered more than I expected. I swallowed, my voice still rough. Why? I asked him bluntly. Why are you helping me? Liam held my gaze. And for once tonight, there was no chaos in his eyes. Just clarity. Because someone should have done it a long time ago, he said. Behind him, Ethan's voice sharpened again. Liam, stay out of this, she's my. I cut him off instantly. I am not yours. The words snapped through the air again, final and absolute. I turned back to Liam. And this time, my voice dropped, but it didn't lose strength. Take me somewhere I don't have to see any of them. Liam nodded once. Okay, just that. No pressure. No expectation. As I walked past him, leaving everything behind again, but differently this time, I didn't hear Ethan call my name. Not immediately. Because for once, the silence wasn't about him trying to catch me. It was about him realizing. He already had. We walked for a while in silence. Not the awkward kind. The kind that felt like my lungs were finally remembering how to breathe without someone pressing on them. Liam didn't rush me. He didn't try to talk me out of anything. He just walked slightly ahead, clearing the path through the crowd that had started to thin out. Only when we reached a quieter street did he finally speak. Do you want to go home? He asked. I let out a short laugh, sharp, humorless. Home. I repeated. Which one? The question hung there too honestly. Liam didn't pretend to misunderstand. Then somewhere you can sit down, he said instead. I nodded once. A few minutes later, we ended up at a small late-night cafe, still glowing under dim yellow lights. Almost empty. Quiet enough that my thoughts didn't feel like they were echoing. I sat down hard at a corner table. Only then did the adrenaline start to fade. And with it, everything else came crashing in. My hands trembled slightly as I stared at the table. Liam didn't sit immediately. He stayed standing for a moment, then pulled out the chair opposite me, not invading, just placing himself there if I needed it. You don't have to talk, he said. That should have been the end of it. But my throat tightened. Because for the first time all night, someone wasn't demanding explanations. And that made it worse. I don't even know what I'm supposed to feel, I admitted, voice rough. Angry? Relieved? Like I just lost my mind in public. Liam leaned back slightly. Those all sound normal. That made me scoff weakly. Normal, I repeated. Nothing about tonight was normal. A pause. Then I added, quieter now, I think I really scared myself back there. Liam nodded once, like that made sense. You didn't scare me, he said simply. I looked up at him. That caught me off guard. He met my eyes without flinching. You didn't do anything wrong, he added. You just stopped letting people talk over you. My chest tightened again, this time for a different reason. I looked away quickly. That's not what Ethan thinks, I muttered. At the sound of his name, Liam's expression shifted slightly, not anger, not softness. Just recognition. You care what he thinks, he asked. The question landed heavier than it should have. I opened my mouth, closed it, then shook my head sharply. No, I said too fast. Then again, firmer. No, I don't. but even I could hear the hesitation in it. Silence settled between us again. Liam didn't push. After a while, he said, if you really don't, then you won tonight. That made me look at him again. Won? I echoed. He nodded slightly. You didn't beg. You didn't stay. You didn't shrink yourself for him. His voice lowered a fraction. You left. Something in my chest twisted painfully at that word. Left. Like it was simple. Like it didn't cost everything. I swallowed hard. I don't know what comes after that, I admitted. Liam leaned forward slightly now, elbows resting loosely on the table. Then don't decide everything tonight, he said. Just decide the next step. I stared at him for a moment, then let out a slow breath I didn't realize I was holding. Next step, I repeated quietly. Outside the cafe window, the night moved like nothing had changed. But inside, something had already shifted too far to go back. And for the first time since waking up in that broken future, I wasn't thinking about Ethan. I was thinking about what I could become without him. The silence between us didn't feel empty anymore. It felt unfamiliar. Like my mind had stopped bracing for impact. I stared down at my hands on the table. They were still shaking slightly. Liam noticed, but didn't comment on it directly. Instead, he pushed a glass of water closer to me. Drink, he said simply. I hesitated, then did. The cold hit my throat and grounded me a little. Only then did I realize how much my body had been running on adrenaline alone. You said next step, I murmured, placing the glass down. But I don't even know where I'm supposed to start. Liam looked at me for a moment, thoughtful. Start with what you already did, he said. I frowned slightly. And what's that supposed to mean? You cut them off, he replied. That's not nothing. A bitter laugh slipped out of me. It feels like everything just exploded. Explosions usually clear space, Liam said calmly. Even if it doesn't feel like it at first. That made me pause. Clear space. The words lingered in my head longer than I expected. I leaned back in the chair, exhaling slowly. I deleted my local university application, I said suddenly, almost like I needed to confess it to make it real. And I accepted Harvard. Liam's eyebrows lifted slightly, but he didn't look shocked. That's a big shift, he said. I rejected it before, I added quickly, almost defensive now. For Ethan. Saying it out loud made something ugly twist in my chest. Liam didn't judge me. He didn't even soften his expression into pity. He just nodded once. Then this time, he said, it's yours. The simplicity of it almost made my throat tighten. Not, you should be grateful. Not, you finally got it right. Just yours. I looked away toward the window. Outside, people passed like nothing life-changing had just happened to me. Like I wasn't sitting here trying to rebuild a personality from the wreckage of a life I hadn't fully lived yet. I don't know who I am without all of that, I admitted quietly. Liam didn't answer immediately. When he did, his voice was lower. Then find out. That should have felt overwhelming. Instead, it felt possible. A few seconds passed. Then my phone buzzed violently on the table. Once. Twice. Again. I stared at it. Ethan. Then Chloe. Then Ethan again. My jaw tightened instinctively. Liam noticed immediately. You don't have to answer. I know, I said. But I didn't move it away yet. Because part of me, an old, stupid part, still wanted to see what excuse they would try next. Another message came through. Ethan, come back. Stop acting like this. My grip on the phone tightened. Liam's voice stayed steady. That sounds like he thinks nothing changed. My lips curled slightly, humorless. That's the problem, I said quietly. He really believes I'll still come back. I turned the screen off. For the first time, I didn't reply. Didn't explain. Didn't justify. Just silence. And somehow, it felt like power. I placed the phone face down. I think I should leave, I said after a moment. Liam nodded immediately. I'll walk you. We stood. As we stepped out of the cafe, the night air hit differently than before, less suffocating, more open. We didn't speak for a while. But this silence wasn't heavy. It was something new. Something I wasn't used to carrying yet. Halfway down the street, Liam finally said, whatever happens next, don't go back to being small just to make things easier for other people. I slowed slightly at that. Not stopping. Just listening. Then I nodded once. I won't. And for the first time, I actually meant it. But now I had another thought, how would I get my revenge on Ethan and that witch? That thought hit harder than I expected. Revenge. It rolled through my mind like a spark catching dry grass, fast, bright, dangerous. I stopped walking. Liam noticed immediately and turned slightly. Audrey. I didn't answer right away. Because suddenly, the calm I had started building didn't feel like enough anymore. Ethan's face flashed in my mind. So did Chloe's. All those years. All those lies. All that quiet manipulation disguised as love and concern. My hands curled at my sides. Revenge, I said slowly, tasting the word. Liam's expression changed, not alarmed, but more careful now. You don't have to do that. I let out a short laugh. It's not about what I have to do, I said. It's about what they think I won't do. I started walking again, faster now. My thoughts were no longer shaking, they were sharpening. They think I'm still that girl, I continued. The one who swallowed everything. The one who cried and forgave and stayed quiet so she wouldn't cause trouble. My voice rose slightly. But they made a mistake. Liam matched my pace, watching me closely. And what mistake is that? I looked straight ahead. That I remember everything now. A pause. The streetlights flickered over us as we moved. And Ethan, I said, voice turning colder, not calm, but controlled, has always been obsessed with control. Reputation. Image. Being the perfect heir. Liam didn't interrupt. I continued. If he loses control of the narrative, he panics. A slow breath. And Chloe, I added, lips curling slightly, she doesn't survive without attention. Without being believed. Without being the victim in every story. My fingers flexed. So no, I said. I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to chase them. I finally stopped walking again and looked at Liam. But I am going to make sure they don't get to rewrite me anymore. Liam studied me for a long moment. You're thinking strategically, he said. I'm thinking clearly, I corrected. That earned a faint pause from him. Then he asked, carefully, what exactly are you planning? I exhaled slowly. Not rage anymore. Focus. I'll start with Ethan, I said. He wants control? I'll take away his certainty. His image. His narrative that I'm still attached to him. A beat. Then Chloe, I added. She relies on people believing her without question. My eyes narrowed slightly. So I'll make people start asking questions. Liam didn't look impressed or afraid. Just steady. And after that, he asked. I looked back down the street. For the first time tonight, I smiled, not warmly, not softly, but deliberately. After that, I said, I disappear from both of their control completely. A pause. Then I added, quieter but sharper. And I succeed without them. Liam didn't speak for a moment. Then he nodded once. That, he said, is the kind of revenge that actually lasts. We stood there for a second longer. The night didn't feel heavy anymore. It felt like it was waiting for what I would choose to become next. If Audrey is going to do this properly, it can't be impulsive chaos anymore. It has to be precision. Not emotional retaliation, but a structured dismantling of the two things Ethan and Chloe actually rely on: control, reputation, and perception. She stood there for a moment, then spoke like she was organizing a future instead of a fight. Okay, I said quietly at first, then firmer. If I'm doing this, I'm doing it right. Liam didn't interrupt. He just waited. I exhaled slowly. Ethan's weakness isn't love, I said. It's image. I started walking again as I explained, my voice gaining structure with every word. He needs to be seen as perfect, successful, in control, the kind of man people respect without questioning. I glanced at Liam. So step 1. I stop being his invisible attachment. Liam's brow tightened slightly. Meaning? I make distance real, I said. No contact. No explanations. No emotional reactions he can predict or use. A pause. And I make it publicly clear that I'm moving forward. Not dating him. Not chasing him. Not even reacting. Just, gone from his emotional reach. Liam nodded slowly, following. I continued. Step 2, Chloe. My expression hardened slightly. She doesn't stand on truth. She stands on people believing her faster than they question her. I stopped walking. So I don't argue with her directly. That's what she wants. That gives her attention. I turned slightly toward Liam. I let inconsistencies speak for themselves. Liam's eyes narrowed a little. You mean expose her? Not loudly, I corrected immediately. Quietly. Strategically. I tapped my finger once against my palm. If she lies, I don't chase her down. I let her story collapse under itself when people start comparing facts instead of emotions. A beat. People like her don't survive scrutiny. They survive urgency. Liam studied me for a moment longer. And Ethan won't protect her? A small, cold smile touched my face. Oh, he will, I said. That's the problem. I looked away again. Because step 3 is where it hurts him most. Silence tightened slightly. Liam's voice lowered. Which is? I looked at him directly. His control over me completely disappears. I exhaled. No emotional reactions. No jealousy. No anger. No begging. Nothing he can interpret as attachment. A pause. People like Ethan don't know what to do with a person they can't provoke anymore. That part wasn't even revenge. It was truth. I continued. And while he's trying to figure that out, I glanced down at my phone. I rebuild my life. My voice studied. Harvard. My career. My independence. My name outside of him. I lifted my gaze again. That's step 4. Liam finally spoke, quietly. And step 5? I didn't hesitate. Step 5 is simple. A pause. Then I said it clearly. They become irrelevant. Not destroyed. Not chased. Not fought endlessly. Just, no longer central to my story. I turned fully toward Liam now. That's my plan. For a moment, there was only the night air between us. Then Liam nodded once. Then don't deviate from it, he said. Because the moment you react emotionally, they get control back. I let out a slow breath. I know. And for the first time, the word revenge didn't feel messy anymore. It felt structured. Like something that could actually be finished. Got it. I'll tighten the language, keep it sharper, and focus only on what actually moves the story. Here's the revised continuation. By afternoon, I was already outside again. Phone in hand. Screen open. No hesitation this time. Every number tied to Ethan got removed from my contacts. Old messages followed, deleted in batches, not one by one. No scrolling back. No lingering. I stopped when the screen went blank. That was enough. My next stop was information. I opened a new document and started writing everything I could pin down: dates, places, who was there, what was said. Clean lines. No interpretation. Just record. The more I wrote, the clearer it became. None of it was confusing anymore. It had always been consistent. I just hadn't called it what it was. My phone lit up again on the table. Ethan's name. I watched it ring out. Then again. Then again. I picked it up, opened the contact, and blocked it. The silence that followed felt immediate, almost physical. I set the phone down and kept writing. Later that day, I sent a message to a legal consultant through a university referral page, asking about defamation records and protection options. I kept it brief. No emotion. Just intent. After sending it, I closed the laptop. That was when I stepped outside. Liam was already there. He looked at me for a second, then spoke. You started. I did, I said. He studied me. And? Everything got quieter. A beat passed. He nodded once. Good. Keep it that way. We started walking. No rush. No questions that didn't need answers. The street ahead stayed open, and I kept moving. We walked without direction for a while. Not because I didn't know where to go anymore, but because I was getting used to choosing it in real time. Liam broke the silence first. Ethan will try to reach you through other people. I glanced at him. I know. That's usually where it gets messy, he added. I let out a short breath. Then I'll cut those routes too. He looked at me briefly, like he was confirming something in his head. You're thinking ahead now. I'm thinking practically, I corrected. A few steps passed. My phone stayed quiet. That silence felt intentional now, like something I had arranged instead of something I was enduring. Then it buzzed again. Unknown number. One message preview slid onto the screen before I locked it. Audrey, we need to talk. Don't make this bigger than it is. I stared at it for a second. Then turned the screen off. Ignore it? Liam asked. I already did. We kept walking. But something shifted in the air after that message, less about emotion, more about pressure. The kind that tests whether a decision holds when it stops being new. Liam noticed my expression changed slightly. He's escalating, he said. I nodded once. Then he's reacting. That matters, he replied. I looked at him. Why? Because people only react when they're losing access, he said. That line stayed with me longer than expected. We reached a small intersection where the street split in two. I stopped. Liam did too. You don't have to keep walking with me, I said. I can handle the rest alone. He didn't respond immediately. Then, I know. A pause. But you don't have to. That should have sounded like pressure. It didn't. It sounded like distance offered without demand. I studied him for a moment. Then nodded once. Then walk with me a bit longer. We took the left path. As we moved, my phone buzzed again. Then stopped. Then buzzed again. I didn't check it. Because for the first time, I understood something clearly. The noise wasn't my problem anymore. My response to it was. The messages kept coming in waves. Then they stopped. That silence lasted long enough to feel intentional. Liam glanced at me once. That's usually the calm before he tries something else. I kept my eyes forward. Let him. A few steps later, my phone rang again, this time a call from an unknown number that had tried before. It rang once. Twice. Stopped. Immediately after, a second number lit up. Then a third. All different. all trying to get through at the same time. I finally stopped walking. Liam did too. He's switching tactics, he said. I see it. The third call cut off. Then my phone buzzed with a text instead. Audrey, don't do this in public. People are already talking. That one made me laugh once. Short. Cold. People are already talking, I repeated. That's the point. Liam watched me. You're okay with the attention? I'm okay with the truth spreading faster than his version of it. That was when I saw it. Across the street, someone holding a phone up. Not subtle. Recording. Then another a few meters away. I didn't flinch. Instead, I stepped slightly forward so I was clearly visible. If they wanted a story, they were going to get the correct angle of it. Liam noticed and shifted closer, not protective, just aligned. You're letting it happen, he said. I'm not stopping it, I replied. There's a difference. My phone buzzed again. This time, Ethan's name appeared through a different saved thread someone had forwarded. Come back and fix this. You're embarrassing yourself. My thumb hovered. Then I opened the message. Not to respond. To read it properly. For the first time, I wasn't seeing panic disguised as authority. I was seeing desperation trying to sound like control. I turned the screen toward Liam slightly. He read it. Then said, he's losing the narrative. I nodded. Good. We started walking again. But the street ahead was no longer quiet in the same way. Phones were out now. Whispers followed distance. Screens turned in our direction whenever I passed. And for once, I didn't lower my head. Because I wasn't hiding inside the story anymore. I was standing outside of it and letting them realize it. The crowd didn't grow all at once. It built in pieces. A few people filming turned into a cluster near the corner. Whispering turned into outright commentary when someone recognized Ethan's name being mentioned in a call that didn't fully disconnect. Liam slowed slightly beside me. You're going to keep walking through this? He asked. Yes, I said. No hesitation this time. A car passed too slowly on the curb. Someone inside leaned toward the window with a phone raised. I angled my gaze toward it. They lowered it immediately. Not because I reacted emotionally, but because I didn't. That difference mattered. Another message popped onto my screen. Not Ethan. Chloe. You're ruining everything. Do you think this makes you special? I stared at it for a second. Then forwarded it to a new folder I had created earlier, record. Liam noticed. You're collecting it now. Every piece, I said. A few meters ahead, two students stepped into view, clearly recognizing me. One of them whispered, then quickly looked away like they didn't expect me to notice. I did. And I kept walking anyway. Liam spoke again, quieter. He'll try to meet you in person soon. I know, I said. You'll go? Yes. That made him glance at me more directly. On your terms. I finally looked at him. Only on my terms. We reached a quieter stretch of road. Less noise. Fewer people. The air felt lighter again, but not safe, just less crowded. My phone buzzed once more. Unknown number. A final attempt before the pattern changed. Audrey, I'm outside your place. We need to talk now. I stopped walking. Liam noticed immediately. That's not a message you ignore. I'm not ignoring it. I turned my phone slightly so he could see. Then I locked the screen. Now he comes to me, I said. Liam studied me for a second. And you're ready for that? I didn't answer right away. Because ready sounded like emotion. This wasn't that. It was structure meeting contact. I set the conditions, I said instead. He decides whether he walks into them. Liam nodded once slow. Then don't step outside them. We stood there for a moment. The street behind us still carried noise, but ahead was quieter again, like everything was rearranging itself around a point that hadn't fully landed yet. My phone stayed dark. But I knew it wouldn't stay that way for long. Because Ethan had stopped sending messages. And started showing up. I didn't waste time thinking. The message about Ethan being outside my place was already enough. I looked at Liam. I'm going back. He nodded once. I'll go with you. No, I said immediately. This part is mine. He studied me for a second, then stepped back without arguing. Call if it escalates. I gave a short nod and left. The ride home was fast, but my mind stayed steady the entire way. No panic. No spiraling. Just one question repeating itself. What does he want to achieve by showing up? Control. Always control. When I reached the building, I saw him immediately. Ethan stood near the entrance like he owned the space. Clean clothes, composed face, but the tension in his posture gave him away. He turned the moment he saw me. Audrey. I kept walking. He stepped forward. We need to talk. You're making this worse than it has to be. I stopped a few steps away from him. Not close enough for him to reach me. What do you want? I asked. His expression softened slightly, like he expected that to work. I want you to stop this, he said. The messages, the blocking, this whole reaction. I let out a short laugh. Reaction. I repeated. You came to my place because I reacted? His jaw tightened. You're embarrassing both of us. That sentence landed, but not the way he expected. I tilted my head slightly. Both of us. I echoed. Ethan, you don't get to attach yourself to my reputation anymore. He stepped closer. I didn't move. That stopped him for half a second. Then he tried a different angle. Everything I did because I thought it was the best outcome for everyone. I looked at him directly. Say her name. Silence. Just that. He didn't. And that told me everything. I nodded once. Exactly. His expression shifted. Audrey. I raised my hand slightly. Not touching him. Just stopping him. I'm not discussing your excuses, I said. You came here to regain control. That's not happening. His voice hardened again. You think cutting me off changes anything? You still feel something. That was the mistake. He reached for emotion again. I stepped forward once, just enough that he had to look at me properly. Listen carefully, I said. What I feel isn't your business anymore. A pause. I'm going inside. I walked past him. He didn't stop me this time. And that mattered more than anything he said. Because for the first time, Ethan stayed behind me. Not in my life. In the past. Ethan didn't stop me that night. But he also didn't leave. He stayed outside my building like a problem refusing to disappear neatly, trying different angles over the next few days, calls through new numbers, messages through mutual contacts, even staged concern that no longer reached me the way it used to. None of it worked the way he expected. Because I didn't argue anymore. I documented. Screenshots. Recordings. Messages. Every attempt to pressure, guilt, or rewrite the story went into the same file. And when I finally sent it forward, through the legal channels I had already prepared, everything changed speed. Not instantly, but irreversibly. Chloe was the first to crack in public. She tried to keep her version alive, but inconsistencies started surfacing on their own once people looked twice. Old claims didn't match timelines. Accidental contradictions appeared in messages that were never meant to be seen together. And for the first time, people didn't rush to defend her. They paused. That pause was enough. Ethan tried to fix it the only way he knew how, control the narrative harder. But control only works when no one is watching the mechanism. And now everyone was watching. Board conversations started. Family pressure followed. The polished image he relied on began to split at the edges. Not because of a single attack, but because everything he built depended on nobody connecting the dots. Now they were. Chloe lost her certainty first. Then her voice in the circles that used to amplify her. Ethan lost something worse. His ability to be believed without proof. And when that happened, he stopped feeling powerful in rooms he used to own. I didn't go back to watch it fall. I didn't need to. I chose Harvard fully this time, and left the hometown behind like something I had finally finished outgrowing. The version of me that waited, explained, and softened everything for their comfort stopped existing somewhere along the way. Not in a dramatic moment. Just, in silence. Liam didn't try to take over the space they left behind. He didn't replace Ethan in my story. He never positioned himself that way. He stayed consistent in the only way that mattered. He showed up when it was real, and stayed back when it wasn't his place to speak for me. When I left, he walked me to the airport. You're not coming back the same person, he said. I'm not coming back at all, I replied. That earned a faint smile from him. Good, he said. A pause. Then, quieter. Go build something they can't touch. I nodded once. And this time, I didn't look back when I walked away. Months later, Harvard didn't feel like escape anymore. It felt like structure. Like a life that didn't need to justify itself against someone else's expectations. Ethan faded from relevance in the way people do when their influence stops reaching the present. Chloe's name stopped carrying weight. What they tried to control eventually became just old noise. And Liam. Liam didn't chase distance or closure. He just stayed part of my forward motion in the only way that made sense. Steady calls, occasional visits, conversations that never tried to rewrite what had already been decided. No pressure. Just two people who met at the point where one life ended and another finally started. And for the first time, that was enough.